It's been referred to sometimes as the tragedy of the anti-commons rather than the tragedy of the commons. The individual academic could own the materials, and that certainly is the case in many of our universities. And that creates problems when, for example, if the professor leaves that university and goes somewhere else, then it makes it difficult for universities to continue using the same course materials. Other problems come in when you have multiple authors of who has the right to use them, etc. And I'll get into further the whole idea of producage, where we don't bother enforcing rights, and this brings in the concepts of the copyleft or the public domain. Funding models are possible. One of the big arguments against open education resources is who's going to pay for it. And Stephen Downes came up with a list of different ways that open education can be funded. And one of them would be an endowment from philanthropic organizations like the Hewlett Foundation. Merlot has a membership model where each member pays an annual fee. Wikipedia has come about through a donation from a philanthropist. A producer contribution, where the producer of the resource just gives it to the community. And in fact, this is how all of these big companies like Elsevier are making their money now. The professors contribute their research to the publishing company, and then the publishing company takes that and sells it back to the university libraries, and they're making millions of dollars off it. So this is one way we could reverse that and contribute it to the open access community and not charge our universities. And our university libraries can come up with it. So others are sponsorships. iTunes University is sponsored. There's government funding, and what I just referred to, institutional. So libraries are spending huge amounts of money now to access databases of research, and the research is all donated to the companies by academics, and that money could be used for open access if we can get our act together. The Creative Commons license, which I've referred to before, allows you to open up your course materials, but you reserve some rights, and there are three that are the most common. Is the right of attribution, that is, you can use it, but you must say who made it and who owns it. Derivatives are, can they or can they not make derivatives of your work? And the other one is commercial use, which is the one that quite often is the one that people don't allow, that people are quite free and willing to open up their creative works, but they're not very interested in allowing somebody to make money from it. So here's a list of the different Creative Commons licenses. There's a spectrum of possibilities, all the way between full copyright or all rights reserved and the public domain. So you've got over here on the left, you've got full copyright, you control everything, and over on the right you've got anyone can do anything they want with it for whatever reason without any restriction. And I would recommend to people is we should be thinking of putting our materials out in the public domain. It facilitates reuse and repurposing. People are worried about attribution. I mean, there's an ethical responsibility to attribute, and people don't have a problem with that. And in fact, if you take work of somebody else and pretend it's your own, that is unethical, and certainly in any academic field, this would be considered very unprofessional and could cause you to lose your position. So attribution is not really needed. That's done anyway. And of course, people, they don't want the commercial entities to use it, but quite often for-profit is not always evil. Especially in developing countries, if some burgeoning entrepreneur can find a way of getting your material out to the public and making a few dollars out of it, this can be a very good thing. It's not always the big evil Elsevier's or Pearsons that are taking your work and using it. And again, I put that forward to you is why put it in the public domain? Why not put it in the public domain? What is the downside for you or for anyone to put your work into the public domain? I really don't see much of the arguments about that. You know, unless somebody feels they're going to make a fortune on their work, or even a substantial amount of money, which very few academics feel like or do get, what's the point? So there are problems with using OERs at the present stage, and some of them are outlined here. To date, there's little take-up by conventional teachers. That is, they're out there, and teachers don't know about them. I'm surprised, and I've been talking to people who support the idea of open access resources, and they have no idea of just how much is out there. And although they support the principle of creating it and opening up their materials, they're very shy and reluctant to use the materials that are out there. Some say, well, there's little reward or recognition for the authors, and I think that is changing. I mean, one example we have is for example, at Athabasca University, both Terry Anderson and Muhammad Ali have received incredible rewards and recognition for being authors. Invitations as speakers, their reputation is enhanced, etc., etc. So again, that could be a problem at the early stages, but quite often it becomes an asset. And there's the problem that few learners engage with the content. And again, that is really up to the teachers and how they put the content forward and how they make use of it. The business case we've discussed before is how can we make this sustainable? How can we continue to produce open education resources and have them? And again, the problem is there's little use and there's little remixing and reposting. And I think part of that problem is they're not really sure of the different licenses. I think most people are unclear about that they do have the right to do this. And I'm sure copyright offices in universities would even advise you not to remix and repost, that it's against copyright. I have a question here. I'll open it up.
Hi, Rory. It's Terry. I don't really have a question as much as maybe you can take a break and